Cancel.
Schweezy.
How should a parent monitor a child's phone without invading privacy? Whenever I hear stories of a child having/doing something bad on their phone, example, talking to someone much older than them, buying contraband, etc., people usually blame the parents. They say that the parents should have been monitoring the child's phone and checking to make sure they weren't putting themselves in danger. But I also hear stories of controlling parents who go through their kids' phones to make sure that they aren't doing anything bad. People usually say that they are being too controlling and invading the child's privacy. I know that there is something that you can put on your kid's phone, I can't remember what, to ensure that they aren't doing anything dangerous, but I know that there are ways to get around it. How would one monitor a child without invading their privacy? So, this is a good question. Am I the best qualified person to answer? No, because what I will tell you is I don't have kids. And my friends with kids, I'm like, well, let's just let them hang out. And they're like, no, because they're going to be annoying for the rest of the fucking day, and then you're going to leave. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. So there is a fine line here on invading privacy versus being too controlling. You don't want to be too controlling because it's like you don't want to be too controlling, but you also don't want to invade their privacy. You kind of want them to have a life outside of them. So you could debate all day. The answer is here's my idea that I'm going to go with because I'm the expert. So I would say, put that shit on your children's phone, but don't let them know. And you have to kind of stand back in a bit to an idea of making sure that they don't know. And so, because once they know, like the moment they know, like you try to stop them from doing something, they're going to know you're on their phone and then they're going to try to work around it. So there's that ground right there that you have to pay attention to. Like they're going to do stupid shit. And stuff like you have to realize what's just stupid shit you did as a kid and you turned out fine or similar to me, whichever way you want to do, or what would actually be terrible for them to happen to them. You kind of have to draw that line. Like you and your, like, I don't know the example of things, but because you kind of, and also there's a good idea of making sure your kids, you're not like a helicopter parent or super controlling to your kids as well, because there's a yin and yang to it. There's a good middle ground that we have to find. And in that middle ground, what I'll say, you got to make sure that they're not like, if you have a daughter and she's not hooking up with some like 22-year-old. And that's also really sad. It has to be. That's the saddest shit. Like, obviously, the 13-year-old doesn't know better, obviously, to be dating a 22-year-old. But you're 22 years old, and you're dating a 13-year-old, and she just sees you as older and cooler or something like that. Like, you're a fucking loser. But yeah, so that's my best advice I'll give you here. Monitor everything they're doing, but don't let them know. And you have to make sure it's a really, really, really bad thing before kind of trying to stop them. And maybe there's a way where you accidentally run into them somewhere. That's you think they're in danger too. You're like, oh, hey, he's like, who's this? And there's TV shit that you can do. Like wear a disguise and stuff like that. You can always do that. That's always an option. Like people were like, that's a stupid thing to don't do that. I'm like, it's always an option. It's always an option. So yes, moral of the story is monitor what they're doing, but make sure they don't know and don't do anything unless it's really bad. Okay? Well, look at you. You just finished one of the many highlights from Cancel Schweezy. Glad you watched, and I hope you learned something important in your life today. We have more highlights available for you to watch, out now, available now for you to watch. And we got full episodes as well, so don't be stingy and go watch another highlight. And like I said, stay awesome.